I'm looking to define the role of controller or CFO in my business and properly vet the applicant. I've got a excavating company. We focus on infrastructure, primarily a subcontractor on road construction projects. I do about $2 million top line. I make 8 employees, and my mother's been kicking around retiring as bookkeeper, and that's what's spurred this call.
Gotcha. Okay, you probably need a controller at this stage. My first CFO came in at probably $10 million and probably 50 team members, give or take. It's not necessarily an exact measure of when you need one, but the differentiation between the two, in my mind, as in a small business setting, is the controller basically is the person who controls, obviously the word, meaning they're going to control the team and the cash flow and the checks according to what you tell them to do. So you say, do this, and they do it. Okay, so they make you, obviously your mom's doing the books. That means she's paying the bills, she's collecting the receivables, and she's managing the strain between payables and receivables, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and so the controller's going to do that plus some. They will be a notch above a bookkeeper. They simply pay payables, collect receivables. That's all a bookkeeper does. And the controller should be able to generate your P&L. They should be able to produce that for you internally. And they should, more than anything, since you put a set of rules in place, you and the controller discuss them, that this is how I want payables done, when I want them done, and this is how I want receivables handled, and this is how other financial decisions I'm going to make, and I'll tell you what we did, and then you're going to go do them. CFO sits beside you, and they're a part of the leadership team. And they're going to give you advice, and they're going to raise their hand and speak up and say, hey, Dusty, you're not being very sophisticated on this. You need to get a little, our company's behind. We need to get our crap together on this. My CFO not long ago said our accounting system is outdated. We need to upgrade our accounting system. I didn't come to him and say that. He came to me and said that. And here's the suggestion of the top. Here's the 2 I've vetted, and here's the one I think we ought to go with. And we went with that one, okay? And that's when we put NetSuite in here that we advertised for. But they're, been a good partner with the accounting system that we brought in. But that was a CFO leadership executive team member. Not only brought me a problem that I didn't frankly know was there or wasn't worried about, but he also brought me the solution. The controller might bring you a problem, but you're going to provide the solution. But otherwise, they're just going to execute what you say. Their job is to get work done. The CFO's job is to get above the work and be thinking about where we're going, how we're billing, how we're setting up these contracts. Because in your world, you can get in a cash flow bind if your general contractor doesn't pay his bills on time.
That's correct.
And so CFO is going to get above that and go, hey, Dusty, when we start meeting with these guys before we take the job, we don't need to take another job from this guy who doesn't pay his bills unless we reset with him and, we reset the terms to where we get paid early, which might be called on time for some people. And so, you know what I'm saying? You got to and you do all that now. If you've got a general contractor misbehaving or a government job and the stuff's delayed, you're the one over there kicking the accounting folks on the government side going, hey, I need my check. I'm a small business guy. You're starving me to death. You're the one doing that now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so your CFO would step more into those roles, and then you would work on the rest of the business, and he or she would... you'd sit down with them, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever, and go over what's going on for an hour. But right now, you're doing a whole lot of CFO functions yourself, and you probably still should be at $2 million.
Right. Now, I know I have a ton of bad habits, and I probably don't. It's probably a tip of the iceberg for what I know about versus don't know about. Should I consider a fractional CFO to get through some of that before?
No, I think you get a strong controller. And a high-paid controller, and they're going to start taking the first if there's 10 layers of things CFOs take, they could take layer 1, maybe even layer 1.5. Meanwhile, do everything your mom was doing better than she was doing it.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be fine at $2 million. But they need to start producing and putting on your desk once a month a full books close of the P&L of what we made last month and what we made year to date and what we made the last rolling 12 and that kind of stuff. If you're not getting that on your desk now, a controller needs to be producing that. A bookkeeper ought to be producing that, but usually with what you're describing, you're probably not getting that, but maybe quarterly or something. Very difficult. You gotta know your numbers, and your numbers got to land on your desk once a month. Books closed on time, and if not early. So our books around here close and have for, almost 20 years, are closed by the 15th of the month following. We know exactly what happened March 15th of everything that occurred in February, as an example. We know exactly what happened April 15th of everything that occurred in March in detail. They're closed. Everything's closed out. We know what cash came in the door, what receivables are still outstanding. We know exactly where we stand on all that, and all of us know it because you can all look at it on a handful of pieces of paper, a handful of computer screens, and we'll get right there. But if I'm in your shoes, Dusty, I think a strong controller that maybe they have aspirations of becoming a young CFO later. You could grow them into it. That would be possible. But I had a bookkeeper that became a controller, and she's been with me almost 30 years now. And I've hired her new bosses as we went along because she was comfortable at the controller level and didn't want the CFO level. And so we brought in very sophisticated CFOs to be her new bosses instead of me over the years, her new leaders instead of me over the years. So, and she's fabulous, by the way.